In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And, well, first of all, I'm a little taken aback by what just happened. Mike, you need to save that for a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a blooper type thing or like an extras reel. So it's only a little snippet, but you need to save it.
I'll send it to you later.
It just needs to be saved. Anyway, well, it's nice to be back again. We had to take another kind of weird break where we not really a break, but we had to not do it on the day that we normally like to do it, which is Tuesday. That's kind of the day we're trying to do things. We're here on a Wednesday.
It's okay. It's closer to release day, I guess. So maybe it's slightly more valid depending on what we talk about.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that we couldn't do it on Tuesday, at least on my part, because my Tuesday was completely and utterly insane. Including having to deal with fire department. Very nice people at the fire department. They came and helped out. Very, very good. They're super, super helpful. But still, hate having to deal with them whenever we have to, because it's never fun. It's never fun to have the neighbors be looking like, why is there a fire truck in front of your house? Should we be worried? Nah, it's okay.
Just to make a statement about it, I would say that every time somebody mentions about how nice working with the fire department is, I always think of this one tweet that I saw that says nobody ever wrote a song called "Fuck the Fire Department."
Oh no. Fire department's awesome. I mean, especially like my parents were never the people to like donate to charities. We never had any money, but even when we did have money, we didn't donate much to charities because a long time ago, my dad specifically kind of realized that a lot of charitable organizations really are just companies that are using these specific things to basically keep 90% of the money and send 10% of it to the actual thing in need. So he was much more into actually giving to people in need or helping people in need than giving to charities. He found a few that at different times. I know I found a few. There's one in the Northern Valley of California, the Western Farm Workers Association, that like, unlike Goodwill, if you donate clothes or items to Goodwill will try to sell those items and make profit. Goodwill does make profit. It has a CEO. That CEO makes a shit ton of money. Red Cross CEO makes a shit ton of money. Used to be, do you remember when Bob Dole was running for president, Senator Bob Dole?
Yes.
Yeah, his wife was the head of the Red Cross and made hundreds of thousands of dollars as her salary back then.
Holy shit.
She was in charge of the Red Cross.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's I mean, all those big charities, they do have overhead, they do have people in management that get paid huge amounts of money to run these, not for profit charitable organizations. Bullshit, they're still making money hand over fist. But the one thing my parents would always give money to after the year 1997, the one thing my parents would always give money to is oftentimes they would have the firemen, either from the local fire districts or especially from CDF, California Department of Fire or whatever. Mm-hmm. They would do the pass the boot thing. You've seen this before.
Fill the boot, yeah.
Where they're at the corners of at stoplights and corners and whatnot, and they'd be there with their trucks having people put money in the boot and stuff back when people carried cash. Mm-hmm. Because who carries cash anymore?
Nobody.
But I carry like $1 or $2 just so that I can like get quarters to put in like an air machine for a tire to air up your tire if necessary. I carry like $1 or $2. That's about it. But otherwise, nobody carries cash anymore. So they really don't do it as much anymore. But when they used to do that, before 1997, parents really wouldn't pay attention to it. After 1997, every single time they'd put money in that thing because a giant fire raged through the area that we lived in 97. It came onto our property. The Cal Fire was there. They built a fire break. They were on our roof spraying down our house. they saved our house from being caught up in that fire. So from that point on, hell yeah, every time my dad saw that boot, it was like money, money, money. You saved my house, money.
For God's sakes, give him the money.
Yeah, so no, fire department was great. It's just I hate having to call them because then the neighbors are like, the neighbors know we have a grandmother living there, so it's like, is she all right? Is she okay? Yes, it actually did involve the grandmother. Sadly, with a 5'11" grandmother and all the rest of us in the house under 5'6", we have a problem if she can't get off the ground, if she's found herself on the ground from falling or whatever.
Right.
If she's on the ground, it's a little difficult to get her off the ground. We do not have the proper leverage to do this. We are too short. And so we usually, when it's happened, we've had to get the fire department to come help get her back up on her feet because we don't have the ability to do it. So yeah, fun experience, but that was kind of the cherry on top of my really weird messed up day yesterday. Mike was having some issues yesterday, so we waited until today, and of course that created a whole long time of us talking beforehand, and
yeah, just a little catch up,
just a little, getting through some stuff. And so we realized that, time is of essence. So here's the thing. We have been promising for a couple of weeks now, since Mike finally caved and got Disney Plus, finally watched at least some of the things I've asked him to on Disney Plus. Not all.
Sidebar. Talking about this is 6 minutes into the time that we have it. I just think that's great.
Of course, it's hilarious. Humor. So we're supposed to talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and we're gonna take a minute here, at least a minute, maybe 10, to at least talk about the fact that when you finally got to watch it, Mike. Now I went and saw this movie in the theater. So spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. I don't know why you wouldn't have seen it yet. So stop now.
Yeah.
But when I went to see it, I kind of knew what I was getting into because I had a bit of an understanding of, some of the understanding of the story, some of where I knew they were going.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew who was going to be turned into the villain. I already kind of saw what was coming with that. Mainly because of that character's run in the comic books. That character literally screwed up the entire world in Marvel comic books. Because she just decided there's going to be no more mutants, and then there's no more mutants, like literally like that.
Oh,
yeah, House of M. Check out House of M.
Oh, that's what House of M's about. Okay,
yeah, that's the House of M stuff. So I knew what I was kind of getting into. I knew what the story was going to be. I knew what I was, kind of looking at with this.
Right.
This is one that I did a little bit of pressure for the wife to go see because she wasn't overly interested in it because she takes my Marvel obsession up to a certain extent. Like with all the Marvel series, she's watched a few of them. I got her to watch Hawkeye because she's a fan of Jeremy Renner.
Okay.
So who plays Hawkeye?
Right.
So that worked out. And then I got her to watch Moon Knight. Also because she's a fan of Oscar Isaacs. Basically, it's the guys that she thinks are kind of cute. She's okay watching it, which is fine with me. I'm secure enough. I mean, I watched Black Widow for Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, so and she knows that, and it's all right. We can have our dreams.
Hey, look, man. Everybody's got a hall pass, so
in a sense, yeah. But there's I knew that with this one I could kind of push a little, especially because again she's a fan of Benedict Cumberbatch, not for his looks. Interestingly enough, with him, she actually does like his acting. This is one that I there are people who say, oh no, I watch him for their acting. Like I watch Meryl Streep for her acting. I'm not attracted to Meryl Streep.
That's fair.
I don't necessarily watch Scarlett Johansson for her acting. I'm not saying she's not a good actress. There's movies that she's done very well in, but that's not necessarily why I watch her. I can understand her watching Benedict Cumberbatch for his acting. He's not necessarily her type of guy, not the type that she's normally interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a damn good actor. He has some very interesting decisions in his acting. and does quite well. She apparently, of all the Marvel movies previous, I didn't find this out till we were about ready to go see this one, her favorite was Doctor Strange. Like, she kind of liked Iron Man, but she liked Doctor Strange. The only thing she's pissed about is that there's not a Hulk movie, an individual Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo, because apparently Mark Ruffalo is one of the people she finds attractive. So she's got a weird spectrum of the guys that she finds attractive, which works out for me because I'm a weird looking guy. But the point is here, she was actually interested in seeing it because of it being a Doctor Strange movie. She kind of liked Doctor Strange. What she didn't know, and what I don't think, did you know who the director of the film was? Did I tell you who directed it before you watched it?
Oh, I knew who it was before the trailer came out. I heard about this a while back. So I was more than ready.
Well, and that was one of the things that I thought would really draw her to it, but in an interesting way, in the sense that my wife is a huge horror movie fan, like huge horror movie fan. She watches almost every horror movie she possibly can. There's a few that she has not seen, some that I've tried to keep from her just because they are a little too unsettling.
Fair.
Mother, if you're aware of the movie Mother with Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence, that is a messed up movie.
Don't know that one.
Heredity, that's another one, messed up movie. She stays away from like the gore porn movies, so nothing by Eli Roth.
Like
no Human Centipede.
No Saw movies.
Okay, hold on now. The first Saw movie was a great movie. That was a great fucking movie. I'm not going to say that there wasn't gore in that movie, but that was a great psychological movie.
Yeah, that's the difference between gore porn and psych horror. Like, yeah, for sure.
It evolved more into the gore porn later, but that first one just towed that line where it didn't get too gory, but it was just gory enough. You know what I mean?
So then and I'm bringing it back to the conversation, would Evil Dead count as gore porn?
I mean, Evil Dead would possibly count as softcore porn, but maybe
softcore porn.
I mean, the scene with the plants in the woods with that girl, those plants are raping that girl. So I mean,
well, yeah, and then she's like dead and naked zombie corpse, like running around with her head, like juggling her head around her arms and shit. It's fucking weird. Yeah.
Well, it's more just low budget. Do whatever you possibly can type of thing.
I will say though, it's really fucking impressive to actually see like the amount of work that went into that. What year that movie came out?
Well, and the budget. That's literally that's a homemade film basically.
Yeah, that's killer. So, it's so good. It's so good because of how much was done because so much was done with so little. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's on the level of like what Kevin Smith did with Clerks.
Yeah.
In the sense of like I'm just gonna take a camera and some friends and do some shit. And that's basically Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi were basically friends in school. And that's what made Bruce Campbell have a career. But here, and it's funny you bring those up because again, my wife is a huge horror fan. She's got I think all the Friday the 13th movies, all the Halloween movies, or most of the Halloween movies. I'm trying to get her to not get the Rob Zombie ones, but she loves Rob Zombie too much. She's gotten all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. She's trying to collect as many of these as she humanly possibly can.
All right.
She just, and especially the 80s horror movies, and she's got some good ones that are like some of her favorites. Serpent in the Rainbow. That's like a deep, God, what's his name? Wes Craven. That's a deep Wes Craven cut. Wes Craven's probably her favorite horror director. Like, hands down. She even likes the one Wes Craven movie that's not a horror movie. Because he did make one movie that was not a horror movie. Interestingly enough, it stars Meryl Streep. But I wasn't expecting that to happen in this conversation. I did not say Meryl Streep to lead into this. It's just a happy accident. Music of the Heart, by the way. Check it out. Very, very good movie. But it's freaking Wes Craven doing a Meryl Streep movie that's like a
sounds like a
dramedy.
romantic. It's a romantic drama comedy.
No, not romantic. Just a dramedy, a drama comedy type thing, but not romantic.
Okay.
It's about a violin teacher. So I mean, it's not what you expect from Wes Craven. You see Wes Craven's name on there, you're like, oh, is this violin teacher gonna like go crazy and like kill all the students and use their guts for the strings? Nope. Not at all. It's a heartwarming movie. It's seriously a heartwarming movie where you're like, something's got to happen. It's Wes Craven, and nothing happens. Maybe that makes it actually his most scary and intense movie because you're expecting something the entire time, and it's none of those things. But the thing is, the movies that she does not watch and does not like as horror movies are the Evil Dead movies.
Really?
She doesn't like. I think she's only partially seen Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, which Evil Dead 2 is basically a rehash of Evil Dead 1 with a bigger budget. But she has only seen bits and pieces of those movies, has no interest in watching them, doesn't care about them. Absolutely hates Army of Darkness, which is one of my favorite movies. The comedy elements ruin it for her. She does not like when horror and comedy blend. It pisses her off.
Oh, so she never like watched. Okay, so she never watched like when I was a kid. One of like my dad's side of the two separate families, right? When I was a kid, my dad and my stepmom used to love the hell out of watching the Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess series.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, 10, 11 years old, and I'm getting introduced to what Sam Raimi does. Yeah. And I didn't see Evil Dead until like I was like 17 for the first time, but I knew who Sam Raimi was because of those series. So I watched this and I'm like, oh my God, it made me fall in love with Sam Raimi even more than I already did. I liked how goofy it was. I liked how tongue-in-cheek it was. All the terrible shots and like that's part of it. That's the charm. That's the charm of Sam Raimi.
That's the only reason why, as far as horror movies go, I'm not a big horror movie fan. The only horror film franchise that I really enjoy is Scream, because of the fact that it is a highbrow version of poking fun at the horror genre.
Right.
And that's what it's still a horror movie. It's a full-on horror movie, but it is making fun of all the cliches in horror movies, still being a horror movie, not pointing it out like a spoof comedy does. And I love spoof comedy. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge lover of spoof comedy, but Scream does it in a more highbrow way. But I've always liked Sam Raimi in the sense that exactly that. He blends the comedy and the horror in such a way that it doesn't make the horror boring for me, because horror movies just kind of bore me. There's no fun to them for me. Some people have fun getting scared. That's not fun to me. Humor is fun to me. So mixing those things in, the Darkman movies, they're silly, they're cheesy, but they're fun movies, and that's kind of a mix of comedy, mix of action, mix of horror. I didn't realize until years later that first Darkman is, of course, Liam Neeson, right?
Okay. Yes.
Do you know who plays Darkman in the second one?
No.
Arnold Vosloo.
Why do I know that name?
He's best known to American audiences as Imhotep from the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie.
Oh, wow.
Series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's Arnold Vosloo, which he wasn't known as an actor then, but Liam, for whatever reason, Liam didn't come back. But one of the things was, up until some of these, her love of Doctor Strange and her desire for Ruffalo to get his own Hulk movie, she did like the Edward Norton Hulk movie, not because it was a good Hulk movie, but because she's always liked Edward Norton. Her favorite comic book movies up until then had been the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. She absolutely loves the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans.
I was going to ask, like, does she dig on the Spider-Man films? Because those films, it's weird. Like, I consider those films the most un-Sam Raimi thing that he has ever done.
With the exception of
there's elements, but it's like I feel like he tried to go to stray as far away from being a Sam Raimi film, but still like had those little bits and pieces where you could tell it's still Sam Raimi that did it, but he tried to go a completely different direction with it, and you can I feel like you can easily tell that.
I mean, I agree, but I disagree. The camera is still Sam Raimi's camera. The way he moves it, the way he sets up shots, the POV shots that he does, even some of the story elements that the various people have to go through. If you look at it from a certain lens, the first movie, we think of Spider-Man as the protagonist because the movie is named Spider-Man. But Sam Raimi, there's an argument to be had that Sam Raimi shot it from the idea of Norman Osborn being the protagonist of the film. And if you think of it that way, it's a Sam Raimi movie. And that's where, maybe there's a possibility. I get what you're saying in that he also is dealing with a way bigger budget than he has ever dealt with any other movie. So that always makes a difference. I mean, you have, I can use the example of one of my favorite movies with Christian Bale, Sean Bean in a small role, Taye Diggs, and I'm trying to think of the name of the movie right now. It's escaping me. I know I had you watch this movie. Takes place in a dystopian future. People are medicated to stop their emotions.
Equilibrium?
Gun kata.
Equilibrium.
There we go.
Yeah. I was like, as soon as you were talking about that, I was like, it's the gun kata one. What the hell's the gun kata one? Yeah, Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Great movie.
That was really good, man. That's
really
honestly
good movie,
what
very small budget for the time.
I was going to say,
a $10 million budget for the time.
Did that get a theatrical release?
I don't know if it did. I don't know if it got.
I didn't see it until it showed up at Blockbuster, and I was like, it seems kind of interesting, sure. And then I sat and watched it, and I was floored.
Sidebar: I saw people recently with the Boondock Saints posting like the first time they got the DVD of Boondock Saints. When they did, and I'm just thinking to myself, bitch, I got the VHS when it was a Blockbuster exclusive, and nobody had even heard about this movie. I watched it before anybody started talking about this shit, and I was just like, oh my god, everybody needs to see this, and started quoting it like immediately. I have proof of this. I still have VHS copies of that fucker. So, anyway, back to Equilibrium.
Yes.
Equilibrium, great movie, great action, great setup with the movie, beautiful look to the movie. Sparse, but purposefully sparse.
Right.
And it just, it worked in what it was kind of trying to do with the whole dystopian thing. And, I mean, critically reviewed, fairly decent, thought of as a good movie. The very next movie that the director made, he was given $100 million budget.
Whoa.
You know what the movie was?
What?
Ultraviolet.
I don't know that movie.
It's a movie with Mia Jovovich as the main character in it.
Okay.
It actually looks very similar to Equilibrium, but take a chance to look at some of the reviews on that thing and then go ahead and watch it yourself and understand that the reviews are completely right for the movie. It was the most god-awful thing humanly possible. Looked completely awful. It's an example of somebody getting more money and doing too much. Same could be said for the backlash for episodes 1, 2, and 3 in the Star Wars movies. That 4, 5, and 6, 4 specifically, the budget was small, but even for 5 and 6, the budget was, relatively contained. And so they had to work with what they could. And you get 1, 2, and 3, there's basically whatever budget George Lucas wants to spend on his movie, since they are probably the biggest budget privately funded movies ever made. And he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to do whatever. And everybody's like, okay, George, whatever you say. And you get some of the issues that people have with 1, 2, and 3 because nobody was constraining him. Sam did different movies. Sam Raimi did different movies with the Spider-Man movies within budget. Now he did fairly good until he came to the third one, and it's like, what the hell?
I'm not sure Sam even likes that third one.
No, I don't think anybody does. But there's, again, he was able to contain things and to do better with the bigger budget because I think he was a better filmmaker overall. And for him to come back into the Marvel fold to take on something like this, honestly, probably one of the best directors possible for this job, in that he's had experience with comic book characters before. So he understands the comic world. Even if it wasn't with Marvel Film Studios and Disney in charge of it, it was still the Marvel universe and Marvel characters. So he gets what he needs to do for that. He gets the bigness of it all. But the fact that we were dealing with traveling through a multiverse, which that's kind of the main plot, is there's a character that is found at the very beginning of the movie being chased by some Cthulhu type. Can't even come up with the right word. Monster coming after her as she's coming from another universe. Lovecraftian. There's what I should have used. A Lovecraftian type creature.
Oh, you're not familiar with that character.
I am familiar with the character. I'm just describing it the way that people who aren't familiar with the character would understand it a little more.
Gotcha.
It's a giant tentacled beast.
Yes.
Okay, you say Lovecraftian, that's about what people are going to think of.
Yeah, but they don't know that's the case until he uncovers it, if I remember correctly.
Huh?
Yeah. He has to uncover it first.
What?
The creature.
Who does? You're talking about the movie?
Yeah.
No, the creature just freaking, well...
No.
Yeah, it is.
The creature is invisible
at first.
Yeah. The creature is at first invisible, so all of a sudden, I think if I remember correctly, just a train goes over, and fucking buildings start crumbling out of nowhere, and they have no idea why. Like, nobody has any idea why.
It's chasing this girl and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so he's got to defeat that thing finally, and then find out this girl can travel through universes. And of course, the big baddie of the movie, who, if you had watched WandaVision, the beautiful thing that is WandaVision, again, something my wife watched because she likes Paul Bettany, has liked him since A Knight's Tale. Luckily, when she watched A Knight's Tale, she wasn't smitten by Heath Ledger. She was smitten by Mark Adey and Paul Bettany. And to a lesser extent, oh god, I can't even think of his name right now. He's staring at me too. Tell me your name while you're staring at me, Wash. I know your name in Firefly. Alan Tudyk. Oh. Yeah, she liked the three of them. I have my little figure of Alan Tudyk as Wash in Firefly sitting on my computer monitor, staring at me. Like, know my name, bitch. He lost his Triceratops. But anyway, she liked those three. She wasn't really a fan of Heath Ledger. So, and Mark Adey is somebody that you could almost compare me to. So I'm good with that. You know who that is, right?
Nope.
In the second Flintstones movie, Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas. Did you watch that one? He's Fred Flintstone.
Okay, he played. Okay, I know who you're talking about. I know who the actor is you're talking about. I never saw it. He was the one that took over for John Goodman in the sequel.
Yeah, and he's also in Game of Thrones. He's the king at the beginning of Game of Thrones. That
okay.
The first king, that Robert Baratheon. It makes me sick that I know that. But anyway, if you had seen WandaVision, you would know that Wanda's basically kind of gone crazy. She created her own little pocket universe, spoilers, and did some things in there where she eventually had, well, I'm spoiling it for you, even though you haven't watched it, because you should know most of this kind of from what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
She created kids. Her kids with vision, which is impossible. She created them out of nothing. Then she decides that she needs to try to find them after she destroys this pocket universe thing that she created, this little construct that she had made.
Oh,
she decides she gets a hold of in the process of WandaVision a book of dark magic, the Darkhold.
Right.
She's trying to use the Darkhold to go to check out basically every possible universe she can to try to find a universe where the Wanda in that universe has these children.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because she wants to get these children and keep them. she found out about this girl who could travel between the universes at will. Doesn't have to try to use spells and basically tie themselves to a bunch of evil magic and shit. She can just do it. That's her power, is to bounce between universes. And Wanda's trying to get this girl to take her power away. Doctor Strange can't let that happen because he needs to protect that from happening. Because if somebody messes with the multiverse like that, crap will shatter.
Right.
If you've seen Loki, you find out that there's actually been somebody who's been fiddling with the multiverse for basically all of existence and has tried to create one continuous timeline that all of the stories we've heard have existed in and clamp down on all these different multiverse things. But bad shit happens, and we're going to find out about that in the next phase of Marvel movies. The name to pay attention to is Kang the Conqueror, because that dude's going to fuck up everything. He already has. So has a Loki. I'm not going to say any more than that, but because there's more than one.
Right.
There's way too many of them, but
well, there's more than one Thor, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but the Lokis are way more of a problem. Although I do want me an alligator Loki. He was cool. But anyway, they end up throughout the course of this film traveling through various multiverse stuff, dealing with some really, really, I mean, Wanda basically becomes a horror villain, this unstoppable horror villain witch who's coming after them, and the way that some of those things are handled, the homages to other horror films in it, this is exactly why Sam Raimi is the perfect person to have taken the helm for this. Because he was able to balance out the comic book element, the humor element, which has always been present in his horror movies, and yet still touch into the horror elements. And you had his POV shots, which are really, that's when you really know you're in a Sam Raimi movie, is when you get those POV shot moments. And then you have the real connection to so many other horror movies and the way that those horror movies work. The coming through reflections moment with Wanda was amazing when she finally crawled out of the one it was like a shield or a bronze plate or something. Beautiful connections to other horror movies within that genre. And then just the idea, if you're going to have any other director, the only other director I could think of, if Robin Williams was ever a film director while he was alive, he'd have been the only person I would have wanted to think up the sequence that directly follows that, where Doctor Strange and the I forget the young girl's name, when the two of them are basically traveling through all these different dimensions before they land in one finally.
Mm-hmm. The girl, America Chavez, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
America Chavez. When they travel through all these different dimensions and they change into all these different things, traveling through, Robin Williams is the only other mind I would want to have envisioned the different dimensions that they would go through and the different things that they would see. But it was an amazingly beautiful single. Admittedly, it was CGI assisted single shot that doesn't cut away as they're morphing through these dimensions and their bodies change to match what each dimension was.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
One of the things, I don't know if you notice, every time they move to a new dimension, they end up in the same alleyway. Coming out of the same alleyway.
I was noticing that. Yes.
That was deliberate. That was deliberate, and the entire purpose of that was to show you that because they'd go through kind of a doorway gate, some kind of a thing, some kind of there's a fence, a door, a chain link fence at one point, and I think a slightly better fence at a different point. The whole point of that was to give you the idea that they've moved into the next dimension, the next area, and give you something to root yourself with. But then you have probably the most talked about scene, the most anticipated scene, the scene where Doctor Strange is confronted by the Illuminati, which is not the Illuminati that like people have conspiracy theories about here in the United States.
Right.
With the, you know, the back to the dollar bill and the all-seeing eye and you know, all that crap.
Right.
But the Illuminati in the Marvel Comics, which is basically a group of a superhero council that is put together specifically to work on multiverse threats, multiple universe threats, because multiverse stuff has been happening in both comics for, I mean, forever.
Yeah.
The Flash TV series, within like the third season or something, they were already jumping to multiple Earths and dealing with all the multiple Earth things. Like once they figured out the whole Eobard Thawne crap for the first season or two, then it was like, what else can we do? Well, Flash does have the ability to literally run to other universes, so let's do that. And so they did. And I mean, it's great. It's a great way to introduce villains and do crossover stuff and introduce different ways of things happening. I love to see the different universe versions of things. But you get some interesting payoff. You get Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, who was Carol Danvers' basically friend and other pilot while she was in the pilot program.
Right.
So the conceit here is that she's the one that ended up with the Captain Marvel powers, not Carol Danvers.
Right. You
have Haley Atwell returning. So great for Haley Atwell to return as basically a version. I don't know if they call her Captain Britain or not, because there is an actual Captain Britain in the Marvel comics. He's the head of the comic team Excalibur, and his sister is actually Psylocke from X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
But she's not actually Psylocke. Her mentality is Psylocke, her brain is Psylocke, but actually Psylocke's body is somebody completely different. Her brain just went into Psylocke's body. It's
okay.
It's Marvel Comics convoluted.
Right.
But anyway, she's there as kind of the Captain Britain, if you will. Which they did a story of that in the animated What If Marvel series, short series that came out about a year ago on Disney Plus. Great animated series, by the way. I mean, you get Marvel zombies in that. Literally everybody turns into a zombie.
Series, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's at one point, one of the few people that isn't a zombie is Spider-Man, and he actually has Doctor Strange's cloak, because Doctor Strange has been turned into a zombie.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and I think you end up with a fight between Zombie Hulk and Zombie Scarlet Witch. That's fun. But anyway, great series. The What If series was a great series. Had a lot of cool things happen within it. A lot of good voice acting. Last voice acting done by T'Challa. Chadwick Boseman. Last voice acting done by Chadwick Boseman in that. But anyway, you have this moment where again you have Haley Atwell reprising her role to be Captain Britain. You have Maria Rambeau, same actress who played Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel, to be the new Captain Marvel. You have I don't know the actor's name, but he is the actor that played Black Bolt in the Inhumans series.
Oh, cool.
That really didn't get a lot of acclaim.
Yeah.
And Black Bolt is one of the most powerful Marvel characters ever. And then you have fan favorite, fan loved John Krasinski popping in as Mr. Fantastic. Everybody wanted that casting to happen. And people were super excited. But the best part is when you get Profo X.
Oh, yeah.
Professor X, for those of you who don't know, gliding in on that yellow hover chair. And you hear a few bars of the animated series music. And it's like, oh.
It makes me curious as to whether or not this universe, whichever one it is it that universe?
That's the possible conceit, that it may be the universe in which the X-Men animated series takes place.
Because if that's the case, that's going to mean some serious changes that are going to happen to the series when it shows up. Because I know it's being
keep in mind.
Continue.
Keep in mind that is a completely different dimension.
What?
That happened in a different dimension. That's not in the 616 or a different universe. Sorry. That's not in the 616 universe, which is where all the MCU has taken place.
Yeah, the main MCU is 616.
This one was like 816 or something like that. It was a completely different universe.
838.
So 838. Okay.
Yes, it is Earth 838.
Yeah, it's a completely separate universe. So, and it's theorized that it may be the animated universe from X-Men. However, with a multiverse, there could be multiple universes where Profo X is getting around in a yellow hover chair. Got to keep in mind in Spider-Man, No Way Home, Spider-Man through magic spells that start kind of the multiverse stuff going on.
Okay.
Spider-Man and villains from Spider-Man movies come from different universes, and they come from universes where no other superheroes exist other than Spider-Man. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe, there's no other superheroes being talked about. The Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, no other superheroes have been talked about yet.
Right.
So with a multiverse, there could be an infinite number of universes,
right,
and infinite variation within each one. To say that certain characters are going to appear in each individual universe, you don't know for sure. Some will in some will in others. You never know which ones are going to come in and which way they're going to come, which is kind of the upside of having a multiverse idea, is that, as I said with the whole Wheel of Time thing, if this is a different universe than the one that is written about in the books of Wheel of Time, then fine, whatever. That's where when it's like, oh, that's not how it's supposed to be in the comics. Well, it's not the universe of the comics. It's its own universe, so there's similarities. There's some basic things. If you keep the rough idea of who the character really is, you can get away with a few other things. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it is possible it was in that universe. So great moment to see that. And then you have the moment where Scarlet Witch decides to storm the place, right?
Yes.
She's storming this place. And she has the confrontation with the Illuminati. And holy fucking shit. I was watching Endgame just like, maybe it was yesterday actually. I was watching Endgame after when we were supposed to be podcasting, but me and the wife were just relaxing from what the day was and still not in our right headspace. We're watching Endgame. And there's a moment in Endgame where Scarlet Witch confronts Thanos. And, he's like, I don't even know who you are. And she starts, trying to rip his armor off of him, and she has him elevated in the air, and she's pulling his pieces of armor off of him, and he has enough time to tell his ship to rain fire. No. Fully charged up Scarlet Witch, like she faced the Illuminati, would have just been like, her hands would have waved in front of her, and Thanos would have just split into two.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He would have been...
This, whatever the hell had happened, like, now, you told me, and I did not see it because I wanted to see the movie. You told me to watch WandaVision. I understand. I feel like I was able to emotionally conceive the... Elizabeth Olsen is a fantastic actress in this role. Like, she's fantastic for the part. She really is. This hit... The way that she was able to portray the emotions that she had as the role made you sympathize with her or empathize with her as a villain in this film anyway.
Until that moment when she's like...
No, she's going batshit. She is that mad. She is that far gone.
And there's a bunch of memes that came out saying, Reed Richards is supposed to be the smartest man around, the smartest man in the universe, which technically speaking... He kind of is. The only person smarter than him is his son, but that's a whole different thing. That's because his son is like way more powerful than anybody ever. He's like super OP. But Reed Richards is super smart, and people were making the joke of, if you're the smartest man in the world, why do you tell Wanda what Black Bolt can do? Why don't you say something like, Black Bolt can tell you where your children are. Just come a little closer. He'll whisper it in your ear. Here's the thing here's the thing. I saw another post later about this that was commenting on that, and like, no, Reed Richards wasn't stupid by saying that. What Reed was trying to do was save the body, because at this point, Wanda's not actually in the universe with them. She has, by using the Darkhold, possessed the body of the Wanda in that universe.
Right.
And is basically walking around in a Wanda suit. So,
what you're saying is, like, instead of Reed, so what he was doing is he was trying to tell Wanda that if she wanted to stay in this, because he knew that it was a different Wanda inside the body of the Wanda of that universe.
They all knew that. They all knew that she had used the Darkhold and had come over.
He was trying to say, look, man, like, this is not a fuck around. This is not a fuck around and find out moment. Like, we can destroy this vessel and you will not have a chance here, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, basically.
So he's trying
to save the vessel. He doesn't want this innocent body of this innocent Wanda to be destroyed.
Right. And then she pulls a fucking Agent Smith on that shit, which I thought was brilliant. And it was so much darker. It's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I was like, how's that phone call going to go when you're unable to speak?
Yep.
And that was just like, so how is he going to do that when he doesn't have a mouth? That was so good.
Oh, yeah.
That was fucking brilliant.
And then the understatement of the moment where he tries to make a sound and it's just like a little pop on the side of his head. Not even that big a one, but just a little pop and then he's done. And it's like,
he tried to scream his mouth open and it didn't fucking work.
And so the fight continues between all of them. And I mean, like, seriously, then you have Reed Richards just like, you're spaghetti, bye. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Reed, whatever. Beats the crap out of Maria Rambeau and Peggy Carter. Just, they're done.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally it's like, okay, maybe Profo can do something. He was able to harness Jean Grey. And then, like, full-on horror movie, boom, Profo X is dead. And you're like, and this isn't like old Profo X who's gone insane and is, living away from everybody, and the only person that can be around him is, like, the unkillable Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, like, when he dies, it's kind of like, okay, finally, because, like, the dude needed to die at that point. This is Profo X in his prime with all of his abilities. And probably more powerful if it's the Profo X from the X-Men animated. He is way more powerful than from the X-Men live action movies.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, nope, you're dead. And brutally dead.
Well, not so much that. I'd say that he had some time. They gave him a wonderful amount of screen time. And they really... But it's the understanding how powerful Witch is at this point. Like... It was just fucking hammering home that literally there is no chance for anyone here.
Oh yeah.
I loved it.
And then, you end up with the probably most Sam Raimi moment. I'm looking at our time. We're probably just going to be talking about this the whole time. So we're just going to embrace it.
Let's just keep going. Break. Yeah, we'll just, that's fine.
So you end up with Wanda finally being able to, in this weird astral dimension thing, she destroys the book that they're looking for. The MacGuffin is gone. MacGuffin gets destroyed.
Yep.
That they're looking for, that America is supposed to use, and Doctor Strange is supposed to use to try to defeat Wanda. She gets America, takes America to Castle in the Snowy Mountains, which, yes, I know the castle has a name. Yes, I know it has... it's technically where Wanda and Pietro were born when they were born in the comic books with the cow lady. Literally a cow lady.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Literally, there was literally a lady that's like part cow. Like her face is a face of a cow, but she has the body of a woman. Marvel Comics, whatever.
Minotaur?
No, not even Minotaur though. No horns. There's no female Minotaur anyway. But of course, you do know, sidebar, you do know who the Minotaur was in Greek mythology, right?
No.
He was the son of Zeus.
The Minotaur was the son of Zeus?
Yes, when Zeus turned into a bull and had sex with the human woman. Because Zeus apparently was into turning into animals and having sex with human women, because that's
James?
Yeah, I'm serious. That's what Zeus would do.
James?
What?
You know what this means?
What?
Zeus was a furry.
Very possibly. I mean, I can see that. I can totally see that. The biggest lie in Disney's Hercules is that Zeus and Hera had a appropriate marriage and were good parents. That's like the biggest lie in the entire film.
That's the reason
Whatever
why the
other
trials
things they got
happen.
wrong,
Like, yeah, that's the reason why the trials happen. Is literally the opposite of what happens in that fucking movie.
yeah, no, that's Zeus was not a good dude.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. He slept with everything that he could, and did it as an animal the majority of the time. Anyway, so Wanda takes her to this mountain. They're back in 616 universe. Wanda takes her to the mountain. Doctor Strange is trying to find a way to get back to his universe. He finds another Doctor Strange who's fucked all the hell. Fun music fight. That had to be fun for you. Although I don't know how much music you read necessarily, but the music fight between the two of them was just kind of a neat way of doing a fight.
Yeah, that was pretty adorable. I thought that was really cool. I was super into that.
And then, Mr. Doctor Strange ends up with a copy of the Darkhold.
Mm-hmm. And
he does this whole possessing another body to be able to exist in another universe. Because if you can't get to the other universe, you have to possess you in the other universe. Right. But in the 616 universe, there was no him, except for way back at the beginning when America Chavez shows up with this freaky monster chasing her. There was also a dead Doctor Strange that had been helping her try to find the book originally.
Right.
Defender Strange, interestingly enough, the costume that he's wearing, because that's what the movie truly opens with, Defender Strange trying to help America Chavez originally get the book before they get sent to 616 universe. You think it's just a dream that 616 Doctor Strange has had, but no, it happened.
Right.
But the uniform that he is wearing, the clothes he's wearing, look like when he was part of the group The Defenders in the comics, which is another little, just throwback nod. That universe version of Doctor Strange, maybe he was part of the Defenders. So just again, fun little tidbits that they can pepper into something like this. Especially when you're dealing with a multiverse movie, when you can have different universe versions of things, you can throw in little details that don't fit the continuity of the 616 universe as far as Marvel is concerned.
Right.
But are still fun, unique things that fans can pick up on.
Yeah.
So since that Doctor Strange, dead Doctor Strange, basically came over with America Chavez and the tentacle creature thing, that dead body was still there. They buried it. Well, they kind of sort of buried it.
Yeah, he just kind of threw it into a rooftop, and he threw it like underneath the roof tiles of this building.
So that's the only Doctor Strange body he can get into. So he goes and possesses the dead body, and you have your most Sam Raimi moment where Doctor Strange is a decayed body.
Okay, so this is I swear, if they wrote this before Raimi was part of it,
they did not.
Okay, so Raimi wrote it in. He put it in there. He's like, no, you have to do a dead something. And so they construct that, dude. Okay, the fact that this is a oh my god, why can't I find the word right now? It's a condition of Raimi's getting onto the film.
I don't think it was a condition. I think it was just when Raimi got onto the film, there was one way that the story was going to go. Mm-hmm. One thing I can say about it is one of the things that was going to happen in the story is Wanda's turn to kind of be in the baddie wasn't going to happen until the end of the original story treatment for Doctor Strange. And then they sat back and went, you know what? We have the best baddie possible with Scarlet Witch. Why do we make her why do we wait till the very end to have her baddie turn? Why not just make her the baddie of this movie? And by doing that changed the whole scope of what they were kind of going to be working with.
Change the dynamic of it. Okay.
So that, again, the whole possession of a dead body thing was not originally part of the script, because that ending was never originally part of the script. But I'm sure as they were progressing to that point, Raimi was like, hey, we could do this, and this, and I got a dead body again. I got a dead guy whose face is falling apart. And I can do it even better with CGI. I don't have to worry about too much makeup. I just green paint his face and then have holes in his face and crap. And then,
well, yeah, there's like parts and pieces of that were CGI, but I was like, you could tell that was like straight up, like when he first comes out of the roof, like that's full-fledged like practical Deadite it's practical Deadite makeup. Like that's what they went. They're like, this is how we're doing it. It's like, because it's Sam fucking Raimi. That's why.
and it works. It works.
Oh, it's so good. My favorite part, like it. And after he gets out, right, and then he's traveling to wherever the place is. I can't remember the place, like the name of it. And the souls of the dead like start to intervene and stop him because they know that this isn't supposed to be happening. You're not supposed to possess a dead body. What the fuck?
Well, you're not supposed to be, specifically not supposed to possess a dead body. You're really not supposed to be going between universes doing this possession thing anyway. The only reason
the dead body is like the next step.
The only reason Wanda was able to get away with it is because she was so powerful and so steeped in the evil stuff already. But these things were coming after him when he was wanting to do this, and it's like, I got to fight these things off, and then he just basically absorbs them. Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like he doesn't his bitches.
Well, he didn't have a cloak. That's the thing. Is he needs a cloak to do most of the stuff that he does. He relies on it. So because he didn't have that, and that cloak wasn't there, he made a cloak out of the souls of the dead.
Yep.
How fucking Raimi is that? That's so good. That was the kicker. That was the icing on the cake for me. Him doing all the crazy, crackly Evil Dead things was great. Don't get me wrong. But that step right there, that made me fall in love with this film. As soon as I saw it, dude, I was my wife is not into the Marvel films. Not really very much at all. Doesn't like them. I am not really into the Marvel films either. I watched this on recommendation. And I knew that Sam Raimi was part of it, and I was, as soon as I saw that Raimi was part of it, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to check this one out. Like, because I knew it's going to be like, how is Raimi going to do a Marvel movie? And I was like, well, it is a sorcerer movie, but it's also, like, complex in its storytelling, and I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. And when I knew that it was Raimi that was going to do it, I knew I was going to be, like, on for it. But this was something, like, first I was excited. I jumped off the couch when I saw Deadite Strange. I was like, holy shit. Then the dead cloak was just, dude, I was running down the hallway yelling, telling my wife, you've got to fucking see this. This is too good. And I still watched it because she was working at the time. But I was able to, I absolutely loved it. I was telling her all about it after the film was over. It was, that made the whole thing for me. That made the whole fucking thing.
And see this, those elements, especially again, that last set of sequences with the kind of, if you want to call it that, the Deadite Strange. Yeah. Those are the type of things that I thought would be the thing that would bring you into this. And to finish just really quickly to finish the kind of telling of what happens in the film as we do, ends up that Strange is able to convince the girl how to feel comfortable using her power instead of being afraid of it, not give in to the fear of it. The girl's comfortable using her power, ends up sending Scarlet Witch back to the place where the kids were that she was trying to get, those versions of her children, and the other version of her. And basically the kid's rejection of her and the mom's protection of them and desire to want to love them makes her realize that she would be ruining that version of Wanda. She would ruin that Wanda's chance to be with her kids if she took the kids from her. If she did what she was planning to do, which was kind of basically break apart all the universes and shit. So Wanda ends up defeating herself by doing that. And what's nice is this is a new trend in a lot of the Marvel series. This happens in the Miss Marvel series that just happened, which very, very interesting series. This is becoming more of a trend where, and it even happens It even happens all the way back in Sam Raimi's first venture into Marvel. You have Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man can't kill his enemies. As much as Batman says he doesn't kill his enemies, even though he does in the movies, doesn't in the comics, which is why he has Arkham. But Spider-Man don't do that. He don't kill his enemies. He purposely pulls his punches when he's doing things. He's a wholesome kid who's not going to do that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So Spider-Man didn't kill Green Goblin. Who killed Green Goblin?
Honestly, it's been
the first
years.
One. Huh?
It's been years. Didn't he fly into his own jet?
He flew his
jet into himself, right?
Yeah, he flew his glider into himself. He was trying to stab Peter in the back. Peter jumped out of the way and he killed himself. Even in No Way Home, the Tom Holland Spider-Man is trying to kill the Green Goblin, who again becomes the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to kill him, and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man steps in between him and steps in between the two of them, gets stabbed in the back for it, as he was going to originally. But they don't kill the Green Goblin. Green Goblin ends up going back to his own universe, which basically was effectively making him die anyway because he was already dead in his own universe. But he stopped Spider-Man from doing it, the Tom Holland Spider-Man from doing it, because literally, and Peter Parker, one of the things that's added to his with his spider powers is he does heal relatively quickly from anything that happens to him.
Okay.
So that's why he can get all beat up and bruised, and within a day or two he's healed, because there is extra healing involved in that.
Okay, so here's the thing, because you told me a major plot point for a film I hadn't seen yet, so I never saw those. That's okay. It's not a big deal.
I didn't expect you to see them. So
right. Okay. So we didn't discuss that before we started the podcast, but and that's good. So that made me ask the questions like, wait a minute, does that Peter die in the film?
No.
Okay. Cool.
But the point here is that even when Sam Raimi was originally dealing with Marvel Comics, he was dealing with characters that because Peter Parker's supposed to be a teenager, not turning them into killers, and understanding that part of the nature of the character is that they're not a killer. That's not who they are. That's not what they do. And to not have America Chavez or even Doctor Strange kill Wanda, but for Wanda to bring on her own destruction by bringing the castle down upon her, that's part of the message of keeping the heroes more. One of the things that Marvel does is they don't necessarily, once somebody becomes identified as the hero, they try not to be too ambiguous with their status as a hero. They try to keep them as a hero. That's the point of them being a hero. They do have more of a black and white thing going on, whereas you have things like the TV series The Boys, where everybody is bad, the good guys are bad, the bad guys are bad, everybody's just bad. There's nobody that's good or redeemable at all in any of it. Like, they're all awful, awful, awful people. But that's where some of the allure I wouldn't say the allure. This is where some of the people have issue with Marvel, is they feel like because they do it too black and white, because they make it too much, they don't have that gray area, that they don't nuance the characters enough. People want to see that gray area of nuance with the characters. They don't want to see just this hero that just does the right thing all the time. It's not about doing the right thing all the time. It's about doing the right thing in the right moment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's, the character is there, but people want it to be more gritty, and that's not gritty. There's a difference between being gritty and being exploitative, and that's, but Marvel doesn't go in either of those directions. And you can get a movie that has elements in it reminiscent of horror. Again, the fight at Camartage with Scarlet Witch, where she gets thrown in the mirror universe, but she breaks out of it through any reflective surface, has to crawl out like from the Ring movies, out of a reflective surface. Instead of out of a TV, it's out of a reflective surface. After she fights the Illuminati and she's chasing Doctor Strange and America Chavez and the girl that Doctor Strange loves that doesn't love her or doesn't love him back. After she's chasing them through the tunnels underneath the Illuminati's building, and it's that's full on horror elements.
Yeah.
Of her, you get all those horror things, but it's in a way that it pays homage to all the horror movies. It gives you some of the feeling at moments, but it's not a horror movie. It's a comic book movie with horror elements in it. And I knew that for people, very much like Rogue One is a draw into Star Wars for people who I don't like Star Wars, all that laser sword crap and the Force and all that. Okay, watch Rogue One. And you get one scene of laser sword Force crap, but you don't really care because he's just a badass destroying everything during that scene.
Right.
So you're just like, oh my God, what the hell? The rest of the movie is a damn World War II spy espionage movie. That's what it is.
Yep.
They have to try to. They found out that the secret weapon has possible weakness. They need to get the plans for the secret weapon so that they can get them to their army so that the army can destroy the secret weapon before the secret weapon destroys them. That's the whole plot of this movie. This is a World War II spy espionage movie in the Star Wars universe. You can pull so many people in. I don't like Star Wars movies. You like war movies? Yeah, watch this. And they love it because it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie,
right?
But it is. This is a comic book movie. It feels more like a wizards and witches movie because that's also what it is. It's a wizard fighting a witch, and horror elements because the witch is an evil, horrific baddie who wants to be, literally is using eldritch creatures and wants to destroy the multiverse so that she can have what she wants in it for totally selfish needs. That's the entirety of the movie, and yet it's still a comic book movie. And it's one of those moments where if people who are into horror movies, into those, maybe the old school, like, you remember Warlock back in the day, Julian Sands?
No.
You don't remember the Warlock movies?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, that was like late 80s kind of horror movies. Julian Sands was the Warlock, and he was back in Salem and was inciting issues in Salem, and you had the witch hunter trying to find him, and he does a spell that sends him to modern times, and the witch hunter follows. And so, because, would it cost more money to do it in period? Bring it to present. We can shoot anywhere we want to. Like, I don't know, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Or the fact that for some reason or another, every time that the Doctor comes to Earth, it's in and around London. I mean, occasionally he goes to like Cornwall, but basically he's in England all the time. And even when he's not in England, sometimes he's apparently in America, but it looks a lot like England. So why? Because budget.
Because budget.
I mean, some places are able to take the filming and go film in the actual, desert country that your story takes place in. But for the most part, you go to Arizona instead.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there are more camels in Arizona anyway. But
I did not know that.
Yeah. But the again, this, where was I going with this? I totally lost myself.
I have no idea.
I got caught up in camels in Arizona. Again, this is a movie that can bring people in that I was talking about the Warlock movies. That's what I was talking about. Great movies. You should check them out. The first, I think both Warlock and Warlock 2 had Julian Sands in it. Same basic story. The only freaky part is at one point he kisses some girl or a guy. I can't remember who he kisses. He kisses somebody, bites their tongue out, and then cooks it up and eats it. So, typical late 80s, cheap, low budget.
Little Silence of the Lambs in there too. Okay.
Little bit. I mean, he's a warlock. He does whatever. He's making pacts with Satan and shit. But it's got some vibes from that. As you noticed, it has the Deadite vibes from the Evil Dead movies.
Cool.
Which is totally to be expected from Sam Raimi, right? That's what you wanted to see in this movie.
Well, it wasn't okay. So it was something that I didn't expect to see, but when I saw it, it's one of those things where you have the epiphany about, well, fucking course they're going to have this in there. I'm for it. Let's go. Like this,
Well,
what you
and
think?
more importantly, it doesn't detract from the movie in the sense like this makes no sense. They just put this in there because it's Sam Raimi. It's like this makes sense, and it's Sam Raimi.
Yeah, it integrated
Brilliant.
into the story extremely well. Like just awesome.
And for something that was going to have those type of elements in it, again, you find somebody who can blend all these elements together: comic books, horror, comedy, because there was comedy. Because of course, the other two things that are necessary in Sam Raimi movies, you need to have the Oldsmobile. The Oldsmobile's got to be there, and it was. And by the way, I don't know if you know, it is the original Oldsmobile. Like it's the same
Shut
car.
up.
It's not just another one of those Oldsmobiles in every movie. It is the exact same car in every single one of those movies. It is the car it's his car. He owned it as a teenager. It was his car in Evil Dead. That's the car they had to use. That's his car. He still owns it.
The Oldsmobile is the same one in every one of the films it's in?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Even in the gunslinging movie The Quick and the Dead, which is a very fun gunslinging movie to watch. It's a gunslinger movie he made in the
I know in the
early
film.
90s.
How do you fit an Oldsmobile in a Western?
He actually had it taken apart and used part of the frame of it in a wagon.
Oh my God.
And that was his conceit that it was in that movie. Seriously, Bruce Campbell said it. But it is the exact same car. That is the car that they went to school in, that they were talking about making movies in. That's the car from Evil Dead. It's the car from Army of Darkness. That's the car from the Spider-Man movies. And yeah, it's been in every single one of his movies, and it is there. It's at one point floating in one of the universes, in the Evil Strange universe. It's floating.
Oh my gosh.
The other thing, of course, is Bruce Campbell. He tries to put Bruce Campbell in everything, and his cameo in this is absolutely brilliant.
Oh yes.
Did you watch till the end when I think it was the mid credits? Is either the mid credits or the ending credits scene? I don't remember which one of his scenes it is, but I think it's the end credit scene.
Oh,
is his scene. Yeah, he finally stops.
I think I saw the mid credit scene. I saw the mid credit scene where plot twist. But I don't think I saw the end credit scene. I saw his scene in the film.
Well, okay. Here's the plot twist for that.
Yeah.
The mid credit scene has Doctor Strange walking through the streets of New York. Suddenly his third eye pops out, which the evil Strange had the third eye.
Yeah.
And that's because he did the whole going into another body with the Darkhold. So he's got the third eye open now, and that could be some evil stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the fabric of reality slices open, and you see what looks like the dark dimension, maybe, because it is. Mm-hmm. And Charlize Theron comes out.
Yes, that's right.
And says, "You need to come take care of some shit right here," basically. And he's like, and goes through the hole, and the hole seals up in the fabric of reality. Now, what's freaky to find out is that character, I don't remember the character's exact name, but I know who she is in the comics.
Who?
Well, I'm sure you didn't see the first Doctor Strange, right?
No.
Okay, but you are familiar with the kind of the big bad in the first Doctor Strange, other than actor Mads Mikkelsen as Cassilis.
Right.
He's dealing with a creature from the dark dimension who wants to basically wipe out all of existence, turn everything into the dark dimension, every universe he can into the dark dimension. And so you're not familiar with the knock knock joke, then, are you?
No.
Let's try it here. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Oh, I forgot the joke. Dormammu.
Oh God. Yes. Yes, I remember now.
Go ahead.
Dormammu who?
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Yeah.
And it's Dormammu that he faces. Which, funny enough, guess who did the voice and the face capture for Dormammu?
I don't know.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah. He had experience playing Smaug.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway, the Charlize Theron's character is Dormammu's daughter.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I just Googled it. Clea?
Yeah. So some shit's gonna go down. But then you have the final scene, the end credit scene, which is when Bruce Campbell's character, who has been who was kind of bothering Doctor Strange in one of the universes they were in, and Doctor Strange decides to basically animate his hand to keep punching him in the face over and over again.
Oh my god. That's great.
Just like in the Evil Dead movies. You saw that, right? You saw that moment?
No.
You didn't see it in the movie?
Wait, is that no, that one's the middle of the movie, right?
Yeah,
that one's during the movie. Yes. I
He's
remember that
himself.
one. Yeah, he's making him punch himself in the face while he's Pizza Papa needs his pay. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Finally, at the end of the movie, the end credit sequence, he stops punching himself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's the end. That's the end scene. So you got to have Bruce Campbell, and him punching himself, again, a throwback to the Evil Dead movies where his hand would be possessed and it would attack him and he would eventually cut it off and then eventually attach a chainsaw to the stub. And yeah.
Now, there was a thing that I did find out after Doctor Strange had come out. Comic-Con this year had a official Marvel Pizza Papa action figure.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's actually pretty damn funny.
I would consider getting that for even though she doesn't. Oh, you have to bleep that. Holy shit. You have to bleep
no.
That. You have to bleep that. Quack that one out. I would consider getting that for my wife, whose name just got quacked out. But she doesn't like the Evil Dead movie, so she doesn't appreciate the beauty of Bruce Campbell. So, well, this went the direction it was always supposed to go, I guess, because we were always supposed to
for the
talk
entire
about.
episode. Yeah, screw it.
Next week we will be talking about chips because I have a chip story. Mike has a chip story.
I have a mild chip story, a short, a small contribution.
For next week or now?
No, for next week.
Okay,
I'll remember.
We'll have chip stories.
Yeah,
we'll have maybe other food stories. And then of course all the other things that come with life. Maybe Mountain Dew will finally come out with the flavor they've been teasing to come out with, and I can give a review of that. Anyway, Mike.
Yes.
Where can people listen to us supposedly have a short conversation about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that ends up being a huge ass conversation about the movie?
Well, you can be listening to us on our website, theXennialChronicles.com or ZenCron.com. You don't want to type that much. You also can look us up on most major podcast platforms. We are on, TuneIn and Google and all that kind of stuff. We also have a YouTube page as well. So check us out there. Go ahead and search for the Xennial Chronicles on YouTube. And if you see this podcast there in video format, which it uploads in, go ahead and click that. Have a listen to it again. Why the hell not? Get your spoiler fix twice. And while you're there, make sure that underneath the video where it's prompted, you have a couple of things to hit. First off, you have a like button to hit. Make sure you hit that while you're down there as well. Next to that like button, there's a subscribe button. And next to the subscribe button, there is something else. James, what is that?
Click the bell.
That's right. Click the bell to make sure that you get notified the next one of these podcasts in a video format or what have you. We have uploaded onto YouTube. I think YouTube is supposed to be coming out with like a podcast platform soon too. So we could be on that. Who knows? We'll just have to find out when we get there. Yeah.
While you're there, while you're doing all those clickies, please make sure to check out Mike's other two YouTube pages. The first one that he has is one that he does with his wife called Chronicles Games.
Yes.
Nothing dirty here. Just them playing video games in chronological order of the story of the game, not necessarily in order of when the games were released. Because sometimes, like for instance, the biggest, I would say, the biggest franchise that really screws around with you on time is like The Legend of Zelda. Their timelines are so fucked up.
Oh my god!
And then Ocarina of Time has 4 different divergent timelines off of it, depending on what the hell happens in the damn thing.
Yes, actually.
So yeah, just anyway, they try to hopefully explain some of that to you when they're playing these games in order, plus doing really bad voice acting.
Oh, of course.
And finally, Mike's other page, Ruling Note Music, where hopefully he will be putting out a new episode, new video extolling the virtue and the amazingness of his new piece of recording equipment that he just finally got to get working, today? Right before we did this?
Today.
Which he's still super excited about.
Absolutely.
So look out for that video because it's an old piece of equipment, but the thing about that piece of equipment is it'll give a I don't know, maybe an emotion to the music that you're just not going to get through modern recording equipment.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to describe it?
I think so. That's a good way of putting it.
So, check those out, check us out, and hopefully you'll be back again to listen next week.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.